And we are back again. In the neighborhood film watch. We are first and football. I'm your host, man, Clinic Brand. Set it off, Chris, with me. But wait, there's more. You may notice that we got a guest with us here today. You know, another constituent, another colleague. Yeah, let's word it that way. In these YouTube streets, we got Love City Cowboy with us. Love, take a minute to introduce yourself to the people, who you are, what you do, etc.
All right. First of all, appreciate you guys for the invite.
No doubt.
Always good to chop it up with fellow Cowboy fans and podcasters. So I'm Marcus Jones, coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee. Been podcasting on and off for about 3 years. Started originally with my co-host, and we had a podcast called The Cowboy Zone. Life started lifing for my co-host, kind of like yours. Got married, had a couple of kids.
Oh yeah.
Took a brief hiatus, and then an organization called DC4L reached out to me, said they were following me, liked what I do, and they asked if I could host a podcast for their Facebook group. So now I'm hosting the Fifth Quarter podcast, powered by the DC4L network.
That's dope.
Facebook group got about 70,000 followers. The creator of the group was named the Fan of the Year by the Dallas Cowboys. So
wow, that's fire.
Starting to get a lot of views, starting to get a lot of people watch us behind the scenes. So hopefully from there we start to expand even more.
I love it.
I love
man,
that,
brother.
Hey, I found Marcus, man. I was just one night messing around and it popped up, man, and I watched him, and he was breaking down some undrafted guys, and it was just so clean in his insight. And then I just went and dug deeper, and I said, hey man, I would love for this guy to come. And that's the beautiful thing about Cowboys content creators, man. They're never too, I'm at this level, I can't kick it with nobody, man. Reached out to the brother, man. He was more than humble, man. I'm glad you came and kicked it with us tonight, man. But B, we got a few questions, and what we do, Marcus, man, me and B talk about some different things. We're in the dry zone of the Cowboys, off season.
Oh yeah.
We in here, we trying to find water in the desert for stuff to talk about. And Marcus said, hey man, what's the topic gonna be? I said, hey Marcus, I'm gonna get with you by Friday what we want to talk about. And I was like, man, we just trying to stretch this thing out, man. So I sent a couple topics. B, I know you took them down, man. And let's get it on, man, and find out what's going on in these streets, man.
So as both of y'all know, OTAs ended at the end of last Thursday. Thursday was the last day. Would y'all like to give me two players, one on offense and one on defense, that you think had their stock up or stock down after OTAs?
Okay, Marcus, I'll let you go since you the guest.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll start off. If you follow me, you'll know I'm kind of even keeled Cowboys fan. So I don't get too high, don't get too low. I try to do everything I do based off of the facts and the history of what I've seen. So I try not to get too excited about OTAs. But this year is different.
Okay.
Because we got a new coaching staff. We got a new scheme, even though it hasn't been implemented yet. And there have been guys that's gotten shifted in and out to me, because coaches are trying to see what they have in the younger guys. So I know a lot of people are excited about Brevin Spann forward. I love him.
Gotcha.
And I'm looking forward to seeing him. Now, that's not one of my stock up guys. I think he's going to do well, but let me just give you a couple. Like I said, I try not to take too much from OTAs, but I know this is kind of leading to the future question, but I love how Schottenheimer's going competition. And there are a couple of guys who I feel like should have gotten the opportunity, but that competition wasn't being displayed like it should have been.
For sure.
So, some guys that I'm stock up on are Marquise Bell, and Wanye Thomas on defense, because I feel like those guys should at least compete for a safety spot. On offense, I'm still kind of evaluating that. But if I had to say a guy, I would probably say Miles Sanders. And that's,
boy, you stole my answer right there. I'm gonna let you finish.
And that's only because you know how our fan base is. Whenever we bring somebody in, they the worst player in the world.
Oh yeah,
and when they leave, we just let our all pro go.
For sure. So I got you. Okay.
Miles Sanders, good player from the Eagles. For whatever reason, he didn't perform with the Panthers, but he's still 26. He should still be explosive. He should still be a dual threat running back. And just the fact that I think he's going to get a legit chance, I think his stock is up.
Gotcha. Okay. I like those. I like those three. I'm gonna start on the defensive side of the ball, man. My guy who stock up for me, man. I think it's a surprise for many, and I think when we got him, people are like, "Well, who's this guy, man?" But the former first-round draft pick, Kyrie Elam. I love what Elam is doing.
Y'all stealing all my answers today, man.
Hey, man. Listen, you know, it's the underwear Olympics, so it's like that. So, but I think the reason I like him is because one, he's going to. When we got him, we was like, man, well, you know, he's a flame out. He's from Buffalo. What is he? But you got to get back to the traits. He's a first-round talent. Played big-time football in the SEC, which I'm not a huge fan of the SEC, of all the players at the SEC. I think some of them are overrated, you know, I think because they just play down there. And we'll talk about that offline if you want to, Marcus. But you turn around, I think he had a chance where his confidence he took a hit. He gets a chance to get to a new place. But some of those things just you know, translate. Speed translate. Being able to play press and be able to learn some different things along with what Eberflus is going to do in his defense, it translates. And him being able to go out and go against two of the best receivers in the game. It's not like he's got a one on this side and he's got a nobody on the other side. He's going out and checking a guy who's top 5 without a question. And we talking about another guy who's top 5 with bad quarterbacks on the other side. So he knows how to play. So Kyrie Elam has been an absolute godsend for us in a time in where we've got a bunch of guys with hurt knees. We got a bunch of guys who are down. So he gives us a boost where we're like, okay,
you preaching, my guy. You preaching.
Hey, man. When we can do, okay, we got these guys are hurt. Now we got him, because a lot of times we're trying to play for that 10. We playing for week.
Chris probably got a phone call. He be doing it on his phone or tablet.
I understand.
Right? So here's what I got going on. Y'all stole both of my answers.
Turned around. That was my
there we go. He
back.
back.
Yes, it was my alarm clock hit me. But you turn around where we're playing the week 10 where the Cavalry can come back and help us out. So with Kyrie Elam being who he is, we already know what Bland is in the slot. Now, instead of us having two needs, we kind of trying to figure out that other one side where we can, start out. So that's my guy on defense.
Let me say this before you go on offense.
Go ahead.
I talked to a couple of Bills podcasters.
Gotcha.
They pretty much flat out said, this dude is a Florida boy who grew up in Dallas. He didn't want to be in cold ass Buffalo.
Hey man, I don't think nobody want to be there in the wintertime.
Right. So, I mean, young kid, always played in warm weather. Now you put him in Buffalo. The fan base booing him. He have a couple of bad games and it snowballs.
There you go.
Now we got him back in the dome. Warm weather.
Where
he grew up at.
There you go.
I just want to throw that in for you.
So now you got that. So my offensive guy, you hit Miles Sanders. That's a good one. A lot of people are giving a lot of love to Spam Ford. But I'm gonna go back into that same room, which I think is a very, very deep room, man. And like I said, I want to make sure that anybody that follows us, man, go follow Marcus, man. He did a great breakdown on that tight end room where there is, over here, frankly, football, Marcus, Brandon wants shoulders rubbing. He wanted to be friction.
I want the room to be uncomfortable. And everybody got to fight for their space. If you want some space in that room, you got to throw an elbow or two, Right. That's how I want the competition in every single room of question to be.
Right. So I think in this room, the guy who's my stock up for me in that room goes back to Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson had a really, really tough 2020. He had 24 campaign. And because of, I think everybody was looking for him to how he elevated his game, because Ford has the ability to make tight ends look great. We're going to go
make money.
He put money in their pocket, man. He brings them out, man. And so, he did that for Don Schultz. He's always done it, James. Guys like that.
Blake Jarwin,
Blake Jarwin. He get them paid. So when he went down last year And then Ferguson had a really, really tough year, but he got, kind of got his feet back underneath himself during these OTAs, stepped up to the challenge. I love that he competed, and I think he's moving it back into the right direction, which makes that room kind of tight. Because beforehand, kind of going in, we were looking at the kid out of Virginia. We were looking at the kid out of Auburn, the undrafted guys, saying, okay, hey, and me and some of my other friends, John Herndon, we were like, hey, listen, man, we're not paying a tight end. So with this offensive line getting to its flow, we might be looking for a guy early next year. But Jake is doing what he needs to do to go make some money, because I don't think they do sign him in the offseason, but that's the end of the year. But I definitely believe he's solidified himself, or moving towards solidifying himself to being that guy next year.
Okay. So this is kind of the disadvantage of going last. Y'all said some great things that I had in my mouth.
Come on, man.
Here's the thing. And Chris will tell you this. Once people started talking about Javonte Williams and Jadon Blue as the potential standouts in the running back room, I immediately said, well, we can't forget that Miles Sanders was a really good running back in Philly. He just went to a bad Carolina team that already had their guy in Chuba Hubbard, right?
Yep.
So to see Miles Sanders come in and get a lion's share of the reps with the ones, his stock is going up for me, because he's not just going to lay down at a really young age of 26 without any catastrophic injuries to himself, and just let the starting job be taken when it's really up for grabs. So I'm glad to see that, because when you think about it, man, this is a running back room that, going back to last year, needed a lot of bursts.
Yeah. Oh, needed another guy with a burst. Yeah, you need a guy with burst. But
Absolutely.
Going back to what you were saying, B, you when we looked at it, and I don't know about you, Marcus, Carolina didn't even let the season get cold. They let him walk out the door with no problem, and they already knew they had Jonathan Brooks already over there with a bum knee. And even with Jonathan Brooks going back,
and now he might miss the whole year.
No, he is going. He is going to miss the whole year. So we kind of like, well, who did we get here? And we were all on that train of, hey, go get Nick Chubb. Hey, go give somebody another look. So it is a kind of wait and see process. And just having this first wave of OTAs and mini camps before we go into camp, it's good to see that he did step up.
Let me backtrack real quick before you go, B. If you go back and listen to some of Miles Sanders' old interviews, he's an Eagle through and through. Grew up in the Pennsylvania area, played for the Eagles. There was no chance in hell 3 years ago that he would have came and played for Dallas.
Nope.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He was recruited to come here. I don't think the fans know that. If you listen to, he did an interview on Sirius XM right after he was signed, and he said Schottenheimer called him and they had a meeting.
Wow.
And Schottenheimer actually proposed to him to come here, not him coming to look for a job. He explained to him what his role would be. He said he was looking for that skill set, a guy who can be explosive, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. So he was convinced to come here.
So basically what you're saying, Marcus, in a nutshell, it wasn't Javonte Williams, who like I said, I live in Virginia, but I grew up in North Carolina, so I was a big Carolina fan.
I was a Williams fan coming out.
Yeah, I love Williams coming out. So it wasn't really Williams and Sanders being the backup. It was really Sanders, you're probably gonna be the guy. Williams, let me see what you got, and then we draft these other two guys. In a nutshell.
Based off of that interview that Miles Sanders had, I would say because he said they recruited him to come here.
Gotcha.
They laid out what his role would be. And Javonte Williams, big physical running back, but he had like 40 catches for the past 3 years. So he's a versatile guy too. I've never heard his interview. I'm just going by what I heard from the Miles Sanders situation. Where
Absolutely.
I couldn't see him coming to Dallas unless they pitched him to come here.
Indeed.
Because of where he's from?
Because of where he's from,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hated Dallas. if you go back and watch some of those Eagles interviews, hated us.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So, but see, the business will make that hate go away.
Yeah,
Marcus, if you got a mortgage, if you got a kid or two by different women, if your last year or two didn't necessarily go right for you, and the money won't rolling in and things like that, you could be convinced of a lot of things. Marcus. You could be convinced of a lot of
point.
You change your mind on a lot of things.
Change your mind quick.
Them principles, the morals that you were standing 10 toes on, it might be 8 toes the next second. You might be standing 8 toes on it the next second. And what happened when you don't got all 10 toes down? You can wobble. You might stumble a little bit.
Absolutely. Who's your defensive guy, B?
My defensive guy, and boy, y'all take all my answers. Kyer Elam, man.
Okay,
Marcus, I have this saying that I use for a lot of different players. I have this saying. I say you just gotta pretend like they don't exist. That means that you can't place the burden of expectations on them. And for a long time, Chris didn't really understand where I was coming from. That's cool. I know I'm a nuanced speaker, and that's fine. But Kyer Elam was a guy who I had zero expectations for coming into this OTAs, going into the camp, and going into the season. That hasn't really changed. But the fact that he has come in with a renewed confidence, the fact that the Bills front office and I believe one of their coaches came out and said, we didn't really give this guy a fair shake. It wasn't necessarily anything against him.
Right.
We just won't rock him with him. That gives me a bit of faith. That gives me a bit of hope, not faith, a bit of hope that maybe it was just where he went to that didn't allow him to showcase his skills that he had in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So with him coming in, of course, having a starting, the starting job being his to lose while we are dealing with injury. I think that he can have an opportunity to find a new life, a breath of fresh air for his NFL life in the Cowboys.
So do you guys have him as the front runner for one of those boundary corner positions right now?
Oh, he is my absolute.
But I guess
I got him. I got him on one side. I want Bland in the slot, and the reason I want Bland in the slot is because way teams are defending. Now they're going to move their best guy in the slot to give him a two-way where he has an opportunity. And Bland has flourished there. I know Bland is to the point where, hey, I want to go outside to get the most money. But the way the league is moving right now, slot corners are going to start being able to demand as much because back in the day.
I'm glad you remembered that I said that. I'm glad that you remembered when I said that.
Hey man, when there's great information out there, it's not a crime to repeat it when it makes sense. So if you're going to turn around and put, you got your one. Back in the day, you put your number one on one side, put your number two on the other side, and it was just anybody in the slot. And but now it's to the point you're going to move your best guy there so he can work in space, and so that money is going to start shifting to that corner or to that third corner, or to that slot corner, because he's got to be a player. We lost one of our best corners this year, Jordan Lewis, to go in and get his money. So if you can turn around and put Bland there, you got Elam on the outside, then you can fight with who's going to be outside. You have Carson. Or if you want to, bring Carson and then maybe bring a veteran, maybe a Gilmore or somebody like that in to wade the tide till we get to week 10. Because my thing is, Marcus, I'm playing for 19. I don't see us having a roster right now to win 20. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So if I'm trying to get to 19 and have something catastrophic happen in game 19, we lose by the blindness, the moon shifting and the earth tilting and the field goal going, something like that. That's what I'm expecting.
The sun coming through the
anything I can deal with that. But I think you're maybe looking for one more corner, and then you can deal with the Butlers, the Izzy's playing some time, Ravel getting up to speed, Diggs getting back, and then you got a solidified corner room. That's how I see it.
I know that Bland would rather play outside, but given the state of the roster, I'm not sure if they can stomach that. Like the reason that I said that your slot guy is going to be making the most money, he has the most real estate to cover. With your outside corner, they got the 12th man on the outside of him. They got the 12th to 13th man. That sideline, helping them cover. In that slot, in that nickel, is you and the man across from you. And they got everywhere in between those hashes to work with. So when you think about that fact, would you want someone like a Kalen Carson there? Would you want to continue to give Wanye Thomas or Israel Mukwamu those snaps and see what they could do there? I'm not really sold on that idea, but if you want to try to give one of those guys the snaps outside and give them so they can help themselves a little bit, try to survive, I think I'd feel much more comfortable with that.
Yeah, and kind of add on what you were saying, Chris, earlier, we talk about the evolution of the slot position. Mm-hmm. If you go back 10, 15 years ago, the slot was the small, unathletic guy who you didn't mind getting wiped out by a safety or linebacker because back then the game was physical.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to put your all-star, all-pro receiver in the slot and risk Ray Lewis or John Lynch taking his head off.
Absolutely.
But now that the physicality is taken out, you can put a CeeDee Lamb in the slot.
Yes.
You can put a Justin Jefferson in the
slot.
slot.
There you go.
Rock St. Brown can play in the spot.
Yes, sir.
And now those guys can work without a fear of getting injured. Mm-hmm. And we all know the defense is always catching up with the offense. So like you said, Brandon, the offense is now at the spot where we can put our stars in the slot now.
Yeah.
And the defense is just now starting to catch up to where we got to make sure our best corner can go inside because that's where the offense is sending them to now.
Yeah.
Because they have no fear.
That's it. That's spot on. You're spot on with that. So I think that's where I think with Elam getting there, and it was, like I said, it was sneaky, a move where when we first signed him, this is a flame out guy from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Now he's turned out to emerge to be they may have did their due diligence and found a guy. I always get those kind of guys to Will McClay. He's gonna go find that guy from here or there, and he's gonna be able to come in and give you some quality snaps and become a fan favorite. You turn around. What was my man? The safety from Minnesota. Come on.
Dang, I can't remember his name.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dallas?
Yeah. We got him from Minnesota.
Oh, you're talking about
Kears.
Clemson, J-Ron Kears.
J-Ron Kears, same way. Found him. Hey, he turned around, he emerged, and boom, he became a fan favorite for a couple of years. And I kind of think that's the same thing gonna happen with Elam. Elam's gonna come here, resurge his career. Get his money right, get his money right, his fandom right, and he's gonna be good to go. I think he's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm glad that Elam is able to step in and command the role for a little bit. Because Marcus, I don't know if you know this, I hold grudges. Man.
I sense that.
I hold grudges, man. I ain't a huge Kalen Carson fan, man. And let me tell you why.
I'm listening.
In the year of our Lord 2024, when we were going into training camp, OTAs, and all of that, Kalen Carson had to cover a lot of guys not named CeeDee Lamb. And personally, I tried to hold off the storm of yay-sayers, not naysayers, of yay-sayers for Carson and people that would rain praises upon him when he covered a bunch of guys who wouldn't be fit to start in the game anyway. He covered your 2024 touchdown leader Jalen Tobin. I'm gonna put respect on that. I'm gonna put respect on that.
Yeah, you gonna give Jalen Tobin some love.
Hey, look, that is your touchdown leader. Fine. I mean, I guess I'll give him that. He covered what your Jalen Brooks, a bunch of other guys that I don't really care to name. Mm-hmm. And people thought that he was the bee's knees for it. I don't even use that term like that.
The seatbelt.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the seatbelt. The seatbelt. And that man went out there and got cooked. He got cooked. And I hate to be I told you so guy, but I just want my flowers while I'm here to smell them. That's all I want, man.
First off, B, the man. Okay, I'll give you that. Your first part was absolutely right. He went a whole training camp without having to have to cover one of the most dangerous men in the game. Yep. But then he turned around and he got thrown in the fire. Where most rookies realize when they were in college, they may play against maybe once, maybe twice a year against a guy who's a next level guy. The rest of the time, they dealing with enterprise rental car guys who gonna go and do real estate. Somebody that's gonna go. They are getting prepared for something outside of professional sports. So I can understand that. And he played in Wake Forest. So he, when he went and played against my man who's in Buffalo now,
Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman. When he played against Keon Coleman, he bowed up a little bit. So that gave him that. So and then he comes to Dallas, he put 21 on his back, the whole world think he ready, and then he go out there and get cooked. The same thing happened to Diggs. I mean, there's very few rookies. If we go back into the history of it, very few rookies get to come out from certain areas and be able to be that guy. So, yeah, he took his lumps. He did get hurt. I still think he has some upside. But the thing about it going in OTAs, you didn't hear his name a lot. In many camps, you didn't hear his name a lot about him doing certain things and getting PBUs. So, yeah, he's got some room to grow. But as long as he's on his rosters and he's in that room, and with those guys, I think he has an opportunity. We're going to need him this year.
Yeah.
Let's not act like
especially for the early part.
You're going to need him this whole season. I mean, because we playing for 19, man. We playing for 19 games. This is a long season, so we're going to need him sometime along the way.
Yeah, I like him. I think he was a square peg round hole type player. Where
and Zimmer. Yeah.
So we had a scheme that was man.
Yeah.
Cover 1, some cover 3. He was a cover 2 zone corner in college.
Right.
And I just don't think putting him on an island, I mean, not only being a rookie, not only going against top receivers, but putting him in a position that he never did in college.
Right.
I think that just really put him behind the 8 ball.
Absolutely.
So now I expect Eberflus to run that cover 2 zone.
That cover 2 zone.
He's known for. So I feel like he should be a little bit better. He should at least be more comfortable. Absolutely. I don't know if it'll translate this year, but I think he should at least be more comfortable. And I would expect to see I still won't give him average this year, but I expect to see average to above average next year.
Okay. So you want to see him get his confidence back, start trending towards being average and feeling comfortable, and then year 3, boom, go above average and be one of those guys that you can definitely count on.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I would put him as 5th corner. 1, 2.
Probably. Wait a minute. Wait. Starting the season, you put him in 5th corner, or you saying by the end of the year he's in 5th corner?
If Diggs is healthy, he's at best a 5th corner.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay, so you gonna say
this coaching staff drafted Rebel. He's got him. He's ahead of him by default.
I understand where the coaching staff.
I may put him behind Kim and Hall right now.
Ooh.
Wow. Man, that's.
But I gotta see it. Kim and Hall showed me something in offseason last year. He just got hurt.
Okay. So and so that's what I'm saying. So you got a couple of guys who may be in the mix here. See, and that's where I think them getting to, getting to Oxnard, and I think it may be a little bit later before you even think that if they even go get a Gilmore, if some of these guys that got hurt last year can show you, hey, I can play, I can work in this system, and we can stem the tide for the period of time. Because I think a lot of times we, as Cowboy fans and most football fans, you want to go out and get a known commodity or go get a name. Go get a name. Yeah, that you recognize. Oh, I seen him do it there. But, the one thing about this league, it's always going to be a young man's game. And the only way you get better at anything, and I don't care what it is, if it's cooking, washing cars, whatever it is, you got to go do it. And I think that's the one thing that, we don't want to have to go through the process of watching this guy go do it, but he may be the answer. And and we might not have to go spend. Well, I want him to go spend some money, Marcus, but we won't have to go spend some extra money on guys to find out if they can't do it.
Now, like I said, this is his scheme. He's a cover 2 zone guy. The light bulb might come on.
And for what it's worth, I think that going into a cover 2, too high type of scheme will be better for the defense overall, because a lot of these young quarterbacks struggle against too high safeties.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think that'll help them by osmosis. Yep. That's a TI word of the day. So next topic.
We didn't do stock down. Stock down.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus. Okay.
Which
You,
one
no,
are
no,
you?
no, we're gonna let you
guys go
start
first this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go first because you got you got caught out there.
Okay, perfect.
It's on you.
My stock is going down, and this is interesting, Chris, on Jake Ferguson. My stock is going down on Jake Ferguson. When you saw a lot of these 11 and 12 personnel sets, Brevin Spann-Ford and Luke Schoonmaker got the majority of those reps. I think Brevin Spann-Ford had the most reps with the ones in 11 sets. He has the body type that they like. You know, he's a big guy. You know, 6'8". Oh, excuse me, 6'8".
Right, yeah.
I wasn't familiar with his game. Like he smooth 270, right? Can block extremely well. So if your Tyler Guytons of the world are going to be struggling, he can be right on the edge of that. Look, I'm hoping that he doesn't. I'm just saying the reality is there. If your Tyler Guyton, you know, hasn't developed as much as you wanted from his rookie year, you have a guy that is a very proficient blocker there to help him. Luke Schoonmaker, you second round pick. All right, look, the game is the game. The game is the game. All right. So Jake Ferguson has been the guy that has seen a decrease in those OTA snaps. Granted, it's like Chris said, it's the Underwear Olympics, but I'm gonna be kind of hopeful that Brevin Spann-Ford can be the guy that I really liked as an undrafted free agent. I'm hoping that Luke Schoonmaker could be the guy that they really liked coming out of college 2 years ago. So yeah, if you follow the snaps, that's who I'm going to be a little bit lower on. Now, a defensive guy that I have stock down on, and this isn't because of anything that he did, is because of circumstances.
We all gonna see the same one.
Yeah, this Sam Williams. Are you talking? Here we go. Oh, this is my guy right now. Marcus, you my guy. Right? My guy. Sam Williams. It's circumstances, man. Each of the last 2 or 3 years since Sam Williams was drafted, the Cowboys have taken an edge rusher in the first 2 days of the draft. Whether it was Marshawn Nealon in the second round last year. Donovan Ezeraku this year.
We've been working on that. We've been working on that name.
There we go. I call him Easy.
Marcus, I call him Easy too. Yeah.
So whether it is one of those two guys, they have recency bias when it comes to this depth chart. On top of Sam Williams trying to come back from injury. Marcus, I said before, Sam Williams might not even make this team because on top of the two young guys, that edge rusher room might be the deepest on the team.
Yeah.
So Sam Williams got to hurry up and come back because if he doesn't see any snaps before the end of training camp, he might be on the bubble. So those are my two guys.
Okay. Marcus is going to give me your two. I'll go last this time.
Okay.
I'll take the last one. Yeah.
Well, defense, pretty much everything you said. Sam Williams. Add on to that, best ability is availability.
There we go.
Haven't seen him over a year. We got a lot of guys who we just signed. We got a former first round pick in Peyton, who's coming in.
Peyton Turner.
Peyton Turner.
We got Fowler coming back. So
coming back.
Parsons and Fowler are going to be your bookends.
Yeah.
And now Sam Williams, when he left, he was competing for a starter spot. Yeah. Now he's competing to be
on the field,
the fourth guy off the bench. Because the two are done, and Ezeraku's going to be your third guy.
Your third one. That's right.
You're competing with Nealon and Peyton to even try to smell the field. It's tough sledding for Sam Williams right now.
Yeah, I get you that.
Go to offense, and Brandon, you're gonna like me for this one.
What you got?
Jalen Tolbert. Now,
boy, we right here.
It's not because of talent though. That's what I'm gonna separate from you at.
Yeah.
It's pretty much kind of similar to Sam Williams. Scheme fit. Last year we needed Tolbert to step up because we didn't have anything explosive on the outside. And Tolbert, I know people give him a lot of gripe, but if you go look at his college tape, he was an explosive Z receiver.
Yes.
Coming out of college.
Yeah. Southern Alabama,
right. So we needed a guy that was explosive because Brandon Cooks wasn't giving it to us anymore. This year, we got a guy on the other side who can be explosive.
Right.
So we got our Pickens and we got Lamb. So now instead of needing an explosive guy as your third guy, you just need somebody who can make splash plays. I think your third guy now is a splash plays guy because it's not going to be a lot of targets for you.
Right.
So if you get 3 targets, we need you to make some shake with them.
And
I don't see Tolbert being the type of guy where if he's only getting 2 or 3 targets, he can make something happen. So I think you're going to see a guy like a Turpin possibly take that Z position. They paid him a little bit of money.
Yes.
If you look at how the scheme's going to be run, the scheme is going to have a lot more shifts. It's going to be a lot more open routes. So you're going to play out that play action, which means you're going to give guys an extra second to get to a spot.
Right.
And Turpin is the best suited for if you give him an extra quarter of a second.
He's going to kill somebody.
Quick.
Yeah, he's going to kill somebody.
Especially one-on-one.
Absolutely. He's a knife. You can't touch him. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's at that Z spot, so he's off the line of scrimmage.
Off the line of scrimmage, right.
So I think because of that, I would put Tolbert stock down because last year he was our number 2. He goes from number 2 to competing for number 3. And for me, I think he's behind the 8 ball. And then you throw in Mingo, which they're going to give an opportunity, even though he probably can get one.
Right.
I think it's going to be hard for Tolbert to get on the field as much as he wants to.
Okay. Yeah. And one thing that you didn't mention, in OTAs, Mingo did his best to quickly establish a relationship with Dak. He was one of those guys. He had a good day or two of OTAs where he was targeting a lot, took one to the crib, So even though it's in draws, even though it's in underwear, you setting that standard. You're setting that standard going into that whole skill positions guy trip that they taking now as we speak. You're setting that expectation, that standard going into Oxnard in 4 weeks. So Turpin didn't do that. And in Mingo's defense, Turpin had a year or 2 of practices with that. Yeah. These were Mingo's first practices with that, and he's instantly trying to set a name for himself.
Yeah.
So Mingo's his competition, and guess who's winning?
Mingo right now. Yeah. You only get 3 targets. Who can do the most with them?
Absolutely.
Mingo can be a yak guy. Turpin can be a explosive separation guy. What does Tolbert do? What does Tolbert do? He got to show us something.
Well, y'all took the low hanging fruit. Y'all took the low hanging fruit. Y'all took the Sam Williams. Y'all explained beautifully and eloquently about what Sam Williams is dealing with. I'm gonna go with a guy, man, who I felt like I wanted to see him do more. And I'm gonna go with Bell. I'm gonna go Bell as my stock down guy.
Marquise Bell?
Because Marquise Bell stock down, because I'm gonna tell you why. For him, it's like he really needed to take the tick up for some things that they did off field. The Cowboys love their undrafted free agents, right?
Yeah,
they love their undrafted free agents. And if they pay an undrafted free agent, that's like they 8th draft pick, right? Yep. So they took the young safety out of Syracuse, the Clark kid out of Syracuse, gave him the most money, and they've been giving him every opportunity during OTAs to be here. I'm gonna line him up here. I'm gonna line him up there. If I'm gonna put Thomas down, I'm gonna make sure he's back at the free or the strong. So I think this was Wanye's opportunity to say, okay, I'm gonna make my name so I can take Hooker's spot. But I think that's really where Bell is better at Hooker's spot. I thought he was gonna be where Donald was because he played linebacker, but that's really Wanye's best position, to play strong. And so I think that this was his opportunity to do it. And because he didn't, and they made it a point to put Clark out there, I think Bell is in a precarious situation here, because even though they did give him some money, and they did, but we know Wanye was the best safety on the team last year. They didn't get a lot of burn because he was in Zimmer's scheme. So I think that's an issue.
And I also think that the last coaching staff just had maybe an issue with Wanye's work ethic. I'm not sure, but I think that he just got on their bad side to a certain extent.
Listen, I said this before, Marcus, and I said when and Brandon alluded to it, when you got mortgages, mamas, and side chicks you got to take care of, you trying to win football games. Even though the Joneses weren't trying to give Mike McCarthy the things and tools to win football games, those guys were looking to go get another check. So they were going to go with what they trusted. So I think they weren't in the point of developing anybody. Yeah. We can see that across the board. Yeah. They weren't trying to develop Guyton. They weren't trying to develop nobody. They were trying to win football games. Yeah. Even when Rain went out, they were still trying to win football games. If it had been me, but if I had a contract, I'd probably be like, let's lose some and get these draft picks. But they were like, they trying to keep a job. Yeah. But that's us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we good. So I think that's what my guy was Bell. I think Bell should have been showing us more and being talked about a little bit more. But because Clark got so much burn in so many different areas, I think he's in a precarious situation. On the offensive, yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that same room we were talking about, and because we fans of so many Cowboys content creators. I was listening to Skywalker Steel and Aisha Moore, and they had this a movie clip, and they said all I had to do was fight. You remember in The Color Purple when he said you told Harpo to beat me. He said all my life I had to fight. The guy who has to fight for his life, in my opinion, is Luke Schoonmaker. Okay, Luke Schoonmaker has not shown me anything to give me the ability to feel like just because you were a second round draft pick that you belong here. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, now we're gonna go. I know Jake can go have an uptick. He can go make plays in the middle of the field. I know he can do that. Spanford has the body, but he got two hands. He got two brick hands. He's not a natural pass catcher. Okay, the kid that kind of gives me a little bit of hope is the young undrafted free agent out of Virginia. He is the Cowboys' perfect storyline type of guy to bring on the field. Having a disability, being deaf, he's a hard worker. Now I never seen him do anything in Virginia because I'm a Virginia Tech guy, and we whooped they behind every time we played them. I didn't even hear his name on the field.
It's about Neville.
Neville's a really good blocker. He's got a great storyline, and I think he fits the mold of what they want to do with that second tight end, being big, being physical, and from what I hear, he's a pretty good pass catcher. So I think he fits there. Luke doesn't give you anything to pull your pom poms out and cheer for him. He's that kind. You just wait for him to do something, but he's got to fight for his life, man, to stay on this football team and to make a name for himself because you got so many other guys that make plays. And Marcus had talked about the undrafted free agent out of Auburn.
Fairweather.
Revolt. But they were saying, listen, in OTAs in practice, man, he's big, he's physical, he snatches the ball. He's been doing a lot of good things. So because he does that, I can kind of 1A behind, Jake. But I really don't have a place where I can put Schoonmaker outside of him having that tag of being a second round draft pick. So this is year 3 or year 4 for Luke.
3.
Yeah. This year 3. So the light bulb got to be LED noteworthy. It's got to be bright. He got to come out here and just go crazy when they put these pads on at Oxnard. Because if not, dude, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting take. Yeah. And I kind of agree with you because when you talk about skill, when you talk about talent, Schoonmaker hasn't shown it from his rookie year to his third year. You know what I'm saying? And really, that third year is where things are supposed to click for certain position groups, tight end being one of them.
I just think last year where he had the opportunity to show he was going to take that, hey, my big toe hurt. Hey, my back a little tight. Hey, he had too many of those during training camp and go. I mean, he had so much stuff going through training camp, and when you got to the preseason, he wasn't even out there. So that made it to the point like, hey, what's really going on? And then so it all went downhill after that, and that's my whole point. There was just so much stuff going on that he never got a chance to get it going. So I think, and then you go into this offseason, he hadn't heard anything about it. You've been hearing more about other guys. Outside of him, and that's why I think his stock is down for me right now.
And this is, kind of unrelated, but I guess it is. You know, whoever haven't heard anything about who really got a fight? John Stevens Jr., man.
Yeah.
John Stevens Jr.
Yeah.
John Stevens was one of those guys that came in, had all of the hype. You know, the free agent type situation where they give him a decent amount of money. They give him like $250,000 or something like that to chill out around the city. And then he's had 2 severe injuries in that time.
Right.
Well, he's hanging on by a thread. His
he
Cowboys
has no goodwill
life,
built up. He has no goodwill built up with the coaching staff.
Yeah. Nah, this staff didn't. Yeah, man. He right up there. He
doesn't have a sponsor. He doesn't have a sponsor on this team.
No, he ain't got a guy. Yeah, they barely remember that dude's name. But yeah, I can definitely tell you that. Yeah, barely know a guy's name. So he's in a tight spot.
So one common thing, and this has kind of been like a buzzword this offseason, right? We've heard a lot, whether it is from the coach himself, from people on your local radio stations, or your national media people, about Brian Schottenheimer's culture. The word culture has been that hot button word this offseason. Marcus, what do you think about Coach Schotty's culture and his mindset that he's trying to instill into the team this offseason?
Well, first of all, I love it. I actually love the signing when they got him. And when fans get pessimistic on me, because again, you know how we can be sometimes. I just tell people, just take the fan hat off for a second and just look at what you got. If I were to tell you the Cowboys were bringing in a head coach whose dad was a Hall of Famer or borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah, right.
His mentor was one of the 5 best coaches in the league, Pete Carroll. And you know what type of culture Pete Carroll brings whenever he's in a organization.
Yeah.
He's 50 years old, so he's old enough to have that experience, but he's young enough to still relate. He believes in competition. He believes in running the ball. He believes in stopping the run. And he is going to use motion and speed. To me, when you talk to fans, that's what you hear everybody say. This is what we want. We want a guy who can relate to the players, who's going to stop the run, who's going to run the ball, who has a pedigree. That's what we always say we want. But we get this guy, and because he's not Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick, everybody's up in arms.
Right.
And that's nothing against them, but we don't know what Ben Johnson is. Look at the team he had.
Look at the pieces. Look at the weapons he had around him to do it. Now, if you put him somewhere, and that's been my biggest thing, Mark.
Right.
And we love Ben Johnson because he's got a Jaheir Gibbs. He's got a top 5 offensive line. He's got a David Montgomery. He turns around. He's got J-Mo on one side. Sun God St. Brown on the other side. Hey, he probably gonna look great.
Or first rounders on the offensive line.
Absolutely. So now you turn around, you put him in Chicago where it's been dysfunctional for years, right? Yep. And you don't have those names there. Who is he? So without the shiny toys, who is he? So you're absolutely right. If you were to say that to somebody in a blind reveal, this guy has this, and this, you're like, yo, that's the guy we got. But because he was already on this staff before, and I think that's where the pessimism comes in. Yeah. Well, he's already on the staff before. He was on there when they with the 12-5 teams. He was just coming off this 7-10 year. Well, what can he do? And I really think what put a lot of people out, which I have to give the Joneses credit of holding fast to it. When you had a lot of guys come out, a lot of the legends come out, saying certain things. Michael Irvin came out and said certain things. You had the national media saying certain things. The Cowboys allowed him to go get the guys around him to help him be successful. I think this is an amazing coaching staff. And I think it's got a lot of promise. You kept certain guys that you needed to keep. You let some guys go that you need to let go because they, it was just time for them to move on to the next step. So I think definitely what Schotty's doing and the ability to want to relate to these guys from everything he's doing. You see him out on the golf course. I'm drinking me a shotty. I'm drinking me a shotty. And that's the kind of guy I like. That's what he's doing. So if he's doing those certain type of things to keep guys loose, keep them when we on the field, we working, but when we off the field, we being ourselves and we can be a family and being cohesive. I think he's brought that to the room. So I definitely love. I guess the mantra word is culture, but it's no different from what other places we say. Man, we love listening to. I know me personally. I'll sit up and listen to a Mike Tomlin press conference because I'm going to like the way he talks and things of that nature. I don't have a problem with sitting down listening to Schottenheimer and what he's saying about what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to bring here. And you're absolutely spot on. Pete Carroll, if he ain't nothing else, he's about energy. And his guy and his teams would always come and go play for him. So I definitely don't have a problem with culture.
Yeah.
Definitely
let me add on to it before you go, Brandon.
Okay.
Not only him as a coach, but you look at the staff he put together. The fans don't know the wide receivers coach, but once off season comes, you gonna know him real well.
Chris, you got a relationship with him, like y'all are established already.
With the assistant wide receiver coach?
You
gonna know him and the assistant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The assistant, I can't think his name, from Baylor, right?
It's Taekwon Underwood.
Taekwon Underwood, yeah.
Taekwon Underwood was
in college, right? Or was it?
Yeah. No. What? Yeah, he played at Baylor, but Taekwon, he's been a coach.
Right.
He's been a coach. Yeah, he was at year before. Last year he was in New England.
Yeah.
But the year before that he was at Pittsburgh.
Right. He played in New England too, right?
Yep. Yeah. He did play
college guy. So guys,
right. You got
college.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you got those, and with Holden coming from Oregon with the guys that he's had, he's a really, really good coach. So I think it's really for our younger guys, I think they're going to be able to mold a little bit better. Now, Jalen Brooks, I think, came from a really, really good program under a really good wide receiver coach that I know and love. But I think he's just the odd man out because, it drops everybody down 2 slots with Pickens coming here. And with Pickens being here and Mingo being a 4th-round draft pick, even though he was traded, he was a 4th-round draft pick, they're going to give him the opportunity. So those guys get dropped down a little bit. But I think Holden and Underwood are going to really elevate that room.
But absolutely. Let me just go again. Like,
go ahead.
Staff. Like, when you look at the coordinator, the offensive line coach, we got guys. If you look at the past, it was pretty much this is a Buddy, a Jerry, and you can almost see them going through the motions of, I'm just gonna come in and we're gonna run a couple drills.
Right.
And then if you don't get trained by Duke, Manyweather, or whoever, you pretty much asked out.
Yeah.
These coaches, 40, 50. They're going to actually get down in the dirt with these guys, show them stuff, and make them compete. And I feel like not only did Schottenheimer bring that energy for himself, but choosing his coaching staff and those guys instilling the same thing. I just feel like overall it's going to be a win-win. Now, I don't know if it's going to translate to wins. I don't want to say that because the NFC East is pretty tough. We represented the NFC Championship last year, so I can't put us there yet because those 2 teams are still ahead of us based off last year's production. But I definitely expect to see improvement and a change in the culture.
Absolutely.
And shout out to DJ Dog for joining us. I see you over in the comments.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. Thank you, man.
So I feel like Brian Schottenheimer has done everything right so far. And it just has to culminate itself. That's another TI word of the day. It has to culminate itself on the field. So I think that we'll truly get to see the fruits of his labors when we get those first playoff games. We'll get to see him being the head man in charge on the sidelines. We'll get to see how he handles those 2-minute drills because they manufacture situations in those playoff games. They'll let a team get deep back into their own half of the field with a little bit of time left just to let their guys be in those situations. And I'm cool with it. I think it's great. So I think then that's when we'll see the real results of this culture shift that Brian Schottenheimer's trying to get in place. When guys are really in between those hash marks.
Yeah.
But as far as right now, his ability to be the CEO coach, chef's kiss. I think that he's done everything right so far. He didn't go out there and hire a bunch of his friends or guys that did his dad favors and things like that. He didn't go and do that.
Gotcha.
He went out and got people that he thought that he could receive input from, and truly help each of those positions. And he said this on Thursday, and this is something that I really liked. He said that he's aware that if they do win, then their coaching staff is going to get poached. So what he's been trying to do is let coaches lead a meeting, whether it's an assistant coach or any of his guys, lead a meeting, lead a practice, lead some reps to see how they respond to it. And then after that, you're gonna I guess the right word is interview them. You're gonna get input from them on how they think they handled it, what they did good, what they did bad, and etc. So I think that those are all great personal decisions that he's made on how he wants his team to operate.
That's how Sean McVay operates, and that's why you see so many coaches come out of his coaching tree.
Yeah. They start prepping them to be head coaches from the beginning. And I think you probably will get a 2-year run when we win this year, not if, but when we win this year, you're gonna get that 2-year run, and then you're gonna have to go and restock these guys and things of that nature. Because I don't think you're gonna be able to keep if Clayton comes and does what he's supposed to do, he's gonna get an opportunity to go be a head coach. If you turn around, Holden's gonna get an opportunity because all these guys are looking to go get that security, and that security is being a coordinator. That security is they're going to go try to go get that, and that's the next thing you want to do. So I definitely don't think
don't sleep on the guy's ego either. Don't sleep on the guy's ego either. Guys, I'll use Brian Schottenheimer as an example. A guy who's gone around the league and been a position coach on OC for forever, but never got to wear the big hat. Man, these guys got egos, man. They want to be the best, so they gonna want that increased responsibility. That's why with Dan Quinn, we were paying Dan Quinn head coach money. He went somewhere else because he wanted to wear the big hat again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had to deal with the stigma that the so-called boy genius put on him. By losing 3 Super Bowls with 10-point leads in the fourth quarter, so he had to let that wear off. So I can understand that for him too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, I get it. I get it. They struggling too. San Fran struggling too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I think that Schottenheimer, he's doing everything right. I don't know who he talked to prior to getting this job, or who his advisor is and things like that. He need to send him a card. He need to send him a card.
Absolutely. What else you got, B?
One thing that kind of frustrates me, and this wasn't on the list of things that we talked about, but I felt the sizzling in my spirit.
Okay.
One of the things that frustrates me is how people talk about the Cowboys as if the team that ended the season last year is really the Cowboys team, like we weren't really riddled with injuries at key positions and things like that. I feel like if Dak Prescott is your starter for an extended period of time, this is a very competitive team at the very least in the regular season. I don't think have we had a 7-win season with Dak as our starter? I don't think so. When he starts the full year, let's word it that way.
Oh, yeah.
So to hear people talk about the Cowboys and by extension Dak Prescott as if we're a team that may struggle to reach 8.5 is the over under for the Cowboys win total. A team that wouldn't reach that, man, it just don't sit right with me deep inside. It don't sit right with me. How do y'all feel about the way that the Cowboys season is projected to go this year?
Listen, for them to be, I'm gonna go first, man. For them to be sitting there, I think somebody just want to give me a little bit of money. I think I've been doing good for nice people. I've been seeing a couple of homeless people on the side of the road. I've been handing a couple of dollars, and I think it's just time for the reciprocity to come back my way. So for you to tell me if I can get an improved offensive line, right, from guard center to guard, right, I can get improved there where I can keep my veteran quarterback clean and healthy, right? I got a motivated young left tackle, and I got a right tackle that's got something to prove. If my O-line is better, and I can do that, Rain is good for 7 wins for me. So I'm giving 5. Rain is 7 wins for me. Okay. Now the other 5 that I need to get, my defense got to do this. I got a little magic to happen. 7.5 is. Man, that's taking candy from a baby, and you ain't trying to take no candy from no baby in these streets nowadays, man. You don't want to do that to the babies. So 7.5 is laughable, to say the least. So I'm totally excited, and I always say this about Rain: he's the ultimate hold my beer guy. He has been that. his whole entire career. Right. I don't know if y'all saw one time when he turned around. They had some 4 and 5 star recruits coming into the Cowboys locker room, and he was talking to them. He was like, "Yeah, man, I was like a 2-star. Didn't nobody think I could do this, that, and the third." And so, and for him, he's always had that chip on his shoulder. So count him out. I'm old. I'm this. He's like, great. He said, he made a statement. He said, listen, my goal is to become legendary, and to become legendary is by winning 1 Super Bowl here. And he's going to fight his behind off to do it. So I definitely think, people just want to have something to talk about. So 7.5 is laughable, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look at his history. The only year, his worst year as a healthy starter was 9-7. And I believe his best receiver was Deontay Thompson that year. Something ridiculous like that. That's the first thing. I mean, and then you look at the past 5 years. 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. He gets hurt, still 7-10, and you expect them to go lower?
Right.
Adding on to what you just said, Chris, we got motivated tackles. We got I'll say an improved right guard, even though I don't want to take any disrespect from Zach Martin, but he was clearly playing on one leg last year.
Yeah, but Marcus, it's really not saying any disrespect to Zach Martin, because we all understand Zach Martin is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to replace my first ballot Hall of Famer, let me go get the absolute best guard in the draft.
Right.
Plug him there. He's highly motivated to want to be great. And then going back with the other 2 guys, BB was the second best second best center in the draft, rookie center last year.
Yeah.
Behind the Frazier kid out of West Virginia who plays in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So all I'm sitting there saying is you got the new El Presidente, but he plays at left. He plays at left guard in Tyler Smith. So I just think you improved the area, the largest portion of your offense. You improved your offensive line. And so the one thing that I love about this whole thing is that on the outside, I got 2 studs that's in their prime. Now my offensive line is moving towards that next iteration of the Great Wall of Dallas, and they're young and they gelling together. And if you get those 5 guys gelling together at the right time, with your 2 outside guys being in their prime, man, that's only an uptick for a guy who now has seen every defense that they're gonna throw at him. What you honestly end up doing is shifting 10 years forward to what you was trying to do for Romo at the end of his career. Get him a great offensive line, get him pieces on the outside, go get him a premier back, and then let his mind know what he can manipulate the offense the way he wants to.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, going back to the Zach Martin point, I say that because when you talk to fans, when fans hear a name, they still think of that name 5 years ago. They don't think of what it was last year.
Things change, man. Things change.
Like when you hear people did just this offseason, man, we should have went after Deebo Samuels. Paid him $21 million.
You talking about the fluff? You talking about that fluffy linebacker that plays in Washington?
Exactly.
I mean, you talking about that dude? Oh, okay, okay.
But but fans are like that, so you got to put those caveats in there because they'll be like, "Are you saying Zach Martin's not a good player?" Zach Martin last year was not a very good player. Not
right.
For sure. Zach Martin.
Right.
But yeah, so then you go back into the team. Your motivated tackles. Our 2 biggest weaknesses for the past couple of years has been the number 2 receiver.
Right.
Linebackers not good against the run. And safety. Now we haven't we don't know if we addressed safety yet. We'll find out. But we've definitely addressed linebacker. And we've definitely addressed number 2 wide receiver.
Absolutely.
So you're telling me we've addressed our biggest holes and we're gonna be worse?
Right.
I mean, people don't like Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams. They're both an upgrade over Zeke last year. A big upgrade, by the way.
Come on, Marcus. Come on, Marcus. You preaching now.
So what are we talking about here?
Right.
Everything has gotten better. And we have a coach who's told us he's going to commit to the run, which is what we wanted for 5 years, even during the winning seasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Marcus, what we believe, and me and Brandon talk about a lot of times, is that when we can keep range to 25 to 30 pass attempts, that's exactly where we want him at.
Yeah.
Anytime we get him over 30 to 35, hey man, that's when bad things happen, man. And being to the fact of the matter that we talked about, now I'm not going to take credit for this. Brandon preached how bad the linebacker room was last year. I was walking around here with rose-colored glasses. Oh, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. We straight. Brandon, like, man, do you see what's in that room? And I was like, nah, man. And when it came to pass, I had to come in. I had a little nice big plate of humble pie. I was going ahead and eating it. You right, bro. And so, but now, like you said, they have made the additions in the linebacker room, gotten guys better, gotten some plug-and-play guys with Murray. Louisville's got another year underneath his belt. Sanborn has been a guy who's been looking for that opportunity. So you got those guys. You got Damone Clark. Got it right, B. We finally trying to find a spot where he don't have to think. He can just go and do it. He ain't got to go think. He just, hey, do that, and he know what to do. So I think that upticks the room, which makes it. And then you got the defensive ends that can play, that we can turn around and make Micah, weapon X that we always want him to be anyway. So you're absolutely right. Defense is a lot better. You address your needs on the offensive line, and you've gotten another weapon. I can't see why we wouldn't win more than 7.5 games.
And this is just kind of to compound on the offensive line fact. If you got a better offensive line, especially in that interior, that guard center guard combination, it not only makes your quarterback better, because Dak excels when he can step up into his throw, right? When Dak can evade those edge rushers, step inside, and really lean into his throw, he's a better passer, more accurate passer. But also, if you plan on being a running team, that allows you to abuse the inside runs. Javonte Williams is going to be your more built guy. He's going to be your more powerful guy. Miles Sanders ain't too small either. He like your 5'11", 200 type of guy.
Yeah.
And I think that Miles Sanders in his career only saw 200 carries once, 200 or more carries once, and he was almost a 1,300-yard rusher at that point. So if you really lean into that production with one of your guys, I think that let's compare it. Rico had 225 or something like that carries last year. He almost had 1,100. I think that if you really give those carries to one guy, try to be a lead back team, or if you distribute them accordingly, I think that you'll see better relative production from the running game.
Yeah.
But I think, and then going back in with Rico, you got that 225 and got that 1,100-yard season, and you waited to like week 7.
Week 7,
to really let
and that burned me up. That burned me up, Chris.
And the thing with Rico is we were always worried about Rico being hurt guy. Well, he got over that bug of being hurt guy. So now,
we'll see.
For now, we'll see. No. He wasn't hurt guy for us. He went and got some money. He'd be hurt guy again for all I care. He got his money. I'm just saying now with a better and a more improved offensive line, and I think you have the ability to take that 1,100, maybe 1,300, and somebody can get to that point, but you can distribute it. I'm just a big fan of the two-headed monster. I love what Detroit does with that, with Montgomery and Gibbs. I think if you can get that with Sanders and with Bell, or with Bell, Sanders, and Blue, I just need that. I need that so I can be able to run the ball, attack people all over the field. I need a guy to have to take a half a second to think about what he's doing, and he's one-on-one looking, chirping, going past him, Pickens over the top, and CD being who he is. And once you do that, man, everything works itself out. And like DJ Dog said, you're absolutely right, man. Father Time is absolutely undefeated.
Batting 1,000.
He always winning. So it gets us all.
So Father Time mentioned this. He talked about DeMarvion Overshown showing flashes. And then Marcus said this way early. We've been on for an hour and 9 minutes now. Marcus said this way earlier. The best ability is availability. What y'all think about DeMarvion Overshown at this point? Going into his third year.
Go ahead, Marcus. I'll let you talk first. I got my feelings, but I'm gonna let you go in.
Okay. Talented guy. I believe this is his third. He's going into his third year or his fourth year.
This is his third year.
Third year, okay.
His third
First
year.
2 years ended in injury.
Yeah. First year, and second preseason game injured. Turned around. I think what 6 games this year? 5-6 games this year.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they hurt again. Yeah.
I mean, realistically, he's playing on half a season this year. I mean, we can try to be optimistic, but he's missing 6 games. He's starting the year off on PUP at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now we're looking at 3 years, and we've gotten half of a player. We're going back to Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch times.
And he got hurt in December. Was it December? He got hurt in like 13 games. He played 13 games last year.
Yeah.
So is that December? I'm not sure.
That's late. What was it, before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? That's after Thanksgiving. So yeah, you're close. You're
December 9th.
Yeah.
December 9th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he showed flashes last year, but he wasn't great. It's a proven year for him. I mean, we just traded for a linebacker who's gonna be a centerpiece.
Yeah.
Jack Sanborn, the fans don't know him yet, but he's probably the smartest linebacker we have. He's gonna be a coach on the field, and he's hungry for an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And Leofile's only improving.
That's it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So regardless of how much we love Overshown, he may come back and be the 4th guy until he works his way up.
Are you saying that DeMarvion Overshown and Sam Williams have a similar predicament on their heads?
I'll say no.
Yes, it's a little bit different.
I think it's way different. I think it's way different for them. I think with Sam, where Sam was coming into this year, we had the bad taste in our mouth because of how he ended the season, the prior season, with promise, making bad mistakes on special teams and getting penalties at the wrong time. I think, stuff like that. I think with Overshown, we've seen him play. We've seen flashes. Like, he turned around and got injured in the preseason game year 1. Okay, we were waiting for him to get back, and then he turns around and gets hurt in December. I don't always put that on the player because they're medically cleared. Marcus, you're gonna find out with me. I got a real art with the training staff that the Cowboys deal with because they guys always turn around, they get hurt. Now, Overshown was a freak accident. I'm not gonna put that on him. That was a freak accident how he got hurt.
But at the same time, some guys just brittle though.
No, that ain't got nothing to do with Overshown's injury wasn't about being brittle. Overshown's injury just wrong place, wrong time. So I understand that. But I think for the health of the player, right? I think Thanksgiving is that time frame out when that 3 weeks, that Thanksgiving, that's where I want him back. So that's 10 weeks into the season. So I'm looking at, like you said, Marcus, I'm looking at 7 to 9 games with him at best this year. If I get 7 to 9 games and he flashes.
I think you might only get like 5. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You
gonna get those 5 if we're truly competing. He got hurt in December last year. It's only Chris, and you say this a lot. ACL is a 12-month minimum injury.
It is a 12 to 18 month injury. I understand. We all think everybody.
One Adrian Peterson. We only saw one.
That dude is not from this planet, man. Stop talking about that.
That man had vibranium in his knees, man. That man had vibranium.
That dude had vibranium, and it took a trip that Wakanda and got.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? That too, man. So, but that's what I'm saying. So, but we're hoping, and where he's trending, and he's going to be a fan favorite. I think he gets if he gets us 5 to 7, 9 is tops that I believe. Then you're winning. Then you're looking him come on to that 4th year. He'll be that guy. But like you said, Sanborn has been dying for this opportunity. Leofold just had to let this thing start slowing down. That was his biggest knock coming out of college. He played too fast. Now it starts to slow down a little bit for him. So I think, if I get 7 to 9 games out of Overshown this year, I'm pleasantly surprised. And he gets through the whole season healthy, then sky's the limit for him into his 4th year.
Now Overshown will get a chance to play out his rookie deal because
They might resign him early, I don't think.
Exactly, but even though he's the 4th linebacker, there's still opportunities for him to go on the field.
Yes.
Sam Williams is way behind the 8 ball. Because the guys in front of him are at the same draft level and younger.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to show even more to even get a chance to touch the field.
Draft level and sponsored. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Draft
Yeah,
level
sponsored,
and
right.
sponsored. That's the thing with him. That's a big thing with him.
Sam Williams, but a ball out as the gunner.
Hey, yeah, he better learn how to run fast in a straight line.
Yep.
That's all he got to do.
Yep.
They gonna get that man on 40-yard dash training again. Tell him, look, just run.
Just
run. So in 4 weeks, we will see the Cowboys, load up all of those 18-wheelers. Drive them halfway across the country to Oxnard, California. Are there any roster moves that you would like to see made before or during camp? And Marcus, leading up to this, you gave us a list of positions, a bevy of positions that you said you wouldn't even think about touching unless it was just a home run type of trade. So what moves would you consider making before or during Oxnard?
Just to give everybody who's watching the insight into our chat, I said I think we're good at D end. I think we're good at linebacker. I think we're good at wide receiver. I think tight end. We got the guys here.
Yep.
And I think we're good at guard because we got a bunch of guys. They pretty much showed us they want athleticism at the guard position.
For sure.
So we drafted a big athletic guard, and then we signed like 3 or 4 tackles who all can play guard.
Right.
Yeah, we got a lot of depth that we got to figure out. On top of, we got Nathan Thomas we drafted last year. We don't know what he is.
Right.
We still got a Sim Richards.
Yep.
Yeah, he might play guard. He might play tackle. We don't know.
They'll figure it out.
And so we got a lot of people at that position. I would love to see a defensive tackle come in. I talked about this on the show last week. I did my defensive tackle breakdown. I really, just going by what they do, they seem like they like the former first round picks. So Taven Bryant will have to be a guy.
Right.
Raekwon Davis played with Eberflus at the Colts. Siaki Ika is a name that just came up this week.
Yes.
Just found out that's junior. That's the defensive tackle draft. This is brother Toya.
Jay Toya.
Jay Toya.
That's his brother.
That's his brother. Yeah.
Interesting.
Toya is the only one with that last name. All the rest of them are Ika. I haven't looked in the history, but that's his brother. He's 340, 23 years old. I think he got cut because, again, sometimes people will draft and the expectations don't meet up with draft position. And some teams have a short leash, unlike Dallas.
I don't think that he's seen a single game snap yet. So you got that benefit. He can still kind of live off of that potential. I really like Siaki Ika coming out. I felt like if you just wanted just a body snatcher, he was going to be one of those guys.
I think he was drafted by Cleveland, I believe, right?
Yes, he was. He was.
I think they felt like he would be Derek Brown. And he didn't pan out the They gave him the boot.
Yeah.
Now, if you're bringing him in as your third defensive tackle, I'm all for it. I don't have high expectations, but the talent is there, the size is there, the strength is there. Bring him in. Let him be in the rotation because we need 3.
Absolutely. Yep, you need 3.
Yep.
There you go.
Let me just go real quick through some of the positions. The positions that I think I haven't talked about. Safety. We can let the young guys try it out, but I'm always gonna throw Justin Simmons' name out there until I see him just completely fall off a cliff. I know he's 32, but every year he showed me something. Marcus Williams is still out there, another guy who can play free or strong. You look at the corner position, Asante Samuel. We can't sign him now because he's still hurt.
Right.
But if we go into week 2 and training camp wasn't all we expected it to be, if we want to bring him in for a non-guaranteed contract, I wouldn't be mad at that. And Shaq Griffin, another guy who can play that. He plays that scheme. So he's another veteran, 29, 30 years old. He can come in and give you some quality snaps in the pitch.
Sure. I think I would love to see a defensive tackle brought in because right now they pushed all of their chips to the center of the table for Mozzie. When it comes to that one tech, they are gambling it all on Mozzie. And as much as I want to see him improve, don't put so much faith in him that you're abandoning all other options. Don't be foolish like that. You know, I don't think that they are naive. You know, and so the other day, you know, while I was walking, I tried to get in 4 miles a day. That's
4 miles.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
Good, crazy.
10,000 steps.
Good, crazy.
So while I was walking the other day, I went ahead and did some research about guys. You know, having a smartphone, we got the world at the palm of our hands, right? Mozzie Smith was the third from the last ranked one tech last year. So going into this little project of mine that I did while I was walking 4 miles, I said all we need is average, right?
Yeah.
So for most of the guys that I looked at, and Chris ended up sending this list to me, I wasn't even looking at guys except for one. I love me some DJ Reader.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at average guys, average backup guys who could come in and be better than the guy that they got all of the chips pushed to the center of the table.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, John Ridgway, he kind of like the one that got away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge John.
Yeah. When
John Ridgway was really he's like that ex that like your high school sweetheart, but then right before senior year she moves away. That's kind of what happened with John Ridgway and the Cowboys. He moved away, but he moved to the opposite side of town where you don't really get along with people when he went to Washington. So you couldn't go visit.
Okay.
Shouts out to the Lunatic.
What's going on with you, brother?
Lunatic, what's up, baby?
Now I feel like Denver got a lot of guys that you could poach off of their team. You know, maybe give them like just a little piece of change, a 5th, 6th round pick, etc. And they will be an improvement on this roster. I feel like Malcolm Roach is a great example of that. The snaps that Malcolm Roach got, and he wasn't really their lion's share guy at the nose, but the snap that he got, he really made use of every single one of them. I'm surprised that as the year went on, they didn't give him more burn. Same thing with Minnesota. Minnesota got a lot of guys. Harrison Phillips, Taki Taimani, if I got that name correct. Both of those guys, whenever they got their chances, they made the use of them. So I feel like you want to go to one of these teams that really produced last year and see their second guys, their third guys at the nose. See, like, all right, how did this guy produce compared to Mozzie Smith? And that was just a few pieces that I really felt like could be great.
Yeah. Now, let me add on to what you just said about defensive tackle, because I talked about this on the show last week.
Sure.
Now, I know you try to stay in shape, take care of yourself, do your 4 miles, 10,000 steps.
Yep.
Most defensive tackles aren't like you. They don't like working out.
Right.
So for the most part, it's a lot of guys still sitting at home just waiting for preseason to start. So I think we're going to sign a guy, but these defensive tackles don't like to come in right now because then they're required to work out. They're required to run sprints. So they want to come in where they can just get in the room, get their jersey, go lift weights, and go get on the field. And then
go
they don't want to do all the other BS.
No, they don't want all the other.
They don't want no wind sprints or no.
They don't want no 100s.
They don't want no 400s.
They don't want to do no 400. They want
no conditioning test. Yeah,
none of that. They just want to come. I hear both of you, what you guys are saying. My thing is that as much as everybody doesn't like the fact that they quote unquote pushed all their chips to the center of the table, Mozzie did improve from his first year, and I also believe for you to win and get to 19 and God willing 20 games, you have got to have a rotation. And of all the positions that it takes longest to learn how to be effective and play at this level, to me, it's defensive tackle, because you're going against guys who played that position 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And they know all the tricks, all the little, nuances of the game. So you're not, when you're in college, you playing against like I said, you playing against guys who are becoming professionals in another field. When you play defensive tackle, you're playing against guys who've been doing this their whole life. They are the very best of the best at doing that. So I think Mozzie takes another tick up. But I do, and Marcus, this is something we say here on Franklin Football.
Okay.
I always like to keep people at the depth Heath GOAT snap count.
Okay.
If you remember Jeff Heath was the GOAT for 25 defensive snaps. Snap 26.
You got to guess, Chris. Why you doing this, man? We got to guess,
Hey, man,
Chris.
listen. Hey, man, at snap 26, Jeff fell off a cliff. So if I can keep Mozzie at that 25, 30 snap count and have a guy that can come in and the drop-off isn't as tough, then you turn around and you get the best out of Mozzie. So what all these guys we're naming, I want to go get somebody. I'm not going to get somebody's second best guy because they thinking the same way I'm thinking. I need a number 1 and number 2 one tech. So let me go get their third best guy who's looking for an opportunity, come in here, and then that gives me time to season my 2 young guys, Jay Toya and Tommy. I can't even say, I call him Tommy Alphabet because I can't pronounce his last name. There you go. And if I can get those 2 guys and I get them seasoned and get them, then I can wage this. I can do whatever I want to do with. If I've turned around in year 4 and 5 with Mozzie, I got these 2 young guys back here who are fighting for snaps and to help me get to where I want to get to. So I'm with both of you. I do want to go find another defensive tackle. I don't think Reader's. I don't think we're gonna be able to get Reader. Detroit saw what happened last year when they got depleted because of injury. They're gonna keep him, whatever they need to be able to do with him.
Yeah.
And then after sitting back and seeing what we saw in OTAs and mini camps, as much as I wanted to go get another running back from somewhere else, I'm almost fully on the youth movement in the running back room. So I don't think I'm outside of a defensive tackle and maybe some competition for my swing tackle. Because right now I really don't have a guy on the roster that I'm fully vested in. Well, let's go as a camp body. I'm not thinking about any of those other guys. I might need to go. I like Awesome. Awesome likes to play. Awesome would prefer to play guard outside of tackle. So I might have to go find somebody on the couch, and got, when I bought Sadiqa Charles back in, man, and that dude just needed some money to pay rent.
Rent dude, man. The rent dude.
Exactly. Had a couple child support payments he was slack on. Let me go back out here. So he went for that one.
His lady's birthday was coming up,
He's
the keys for that.
Let me go make a little change. So I don't think he fully vested. So I might want to go find another guy that help me with my swing tackle situation. But outside of that, man, I think I think those are the pieces. Those are the outside pieces I need. My inside pieces, which I will say every time me and B get on here, is go ahead and pay that man. Go pay my big 3 that I need to go get paid, and then I'm happy like a pig in slop. Okay? And if you ain't been kicking with us, Marcus, my big 3 that got to go get paid. Quit playing with Mike and his money. Go and pay that man. That man can't even stay away from the facility when his agent done told him to stay away from the facility. Show up and just walk around, hide his helmet. He can't help it. He loved it. He want to go play. Get it out the way. This thing playing with Tyler Smith, I have no understanding what that's about. This guy has been probably one of the best young offensive linemen in the game for the last couple of years. Go ahead, start the clock ticking, spread that money out because we know we're about to get into his prime. We're going to get from year 4 to year 9. You're probably going to get the best football you can get out of him. And then at that time, you can turn around and do what the smarter teams do. Go ahead at year 8, year 9, put him out there and go ahead and get some trade value for him so you're not looking at paying 15, 16 million.
They don't get down like that, Chris.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, man, 15, 16 million in dead money for a guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, okay, you gonna remember it? That's fine. Go ahead and do that. Get the clock rolling with him. And then last, man, I'm not even trying to play no games with George, man. Go and get George's money, man. Go ahead and get George financially set.
What's the money to you, though? I'm curious about that. What do you think the number is?
B, my thing is this. I'm paying
4 years, 90 million, 72 guaranteed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good money. That's good money. Hey,
that's what I do.
That's 28.
Yeah.
28 and a half. If I did my math
28.
right.
Yeah, 28. Oh, yeah, that's good money. That's man. Listen, because you go CD's gonna still play at that upper echelon, but you get him in a position where that 28 million. That's good. That's good bread.
22 and a half.
Okay. Yeah, 22. Yeah, that's good bread.
Yeah,
That outpaces your
I said
salary.
28. I meant 22 and a half. Excuse me.
Yeah.
22.
Mhm.
So 22 and a half, great money. And if things go left any other kind of way, whereas it's not a disrespectful number.
Mhm.
It's a really, really good number, and I think that's a perfect spot for him to get that.
Let me tell you a quick story.
Give it to me.
So, trying to bring my dad up into the 20th century.
Mhm.
Just retired.
Mm-hmm.
He says he wants to try to get up to date to the times. So
Okay.
I got him an iPhone. Showed him how to FaceTime because he at the house by himself. I don't know how to do this.
Right.
I'm an hour away, so I can't drive down there. Let me show you how to FaceTime. Hold your phone up. I can walk you through it.
Mm. I see.
Got him the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still getting calls and texts.
Mm.
Don't understand the technology. I got it. I've seen it, but I either don't want to use it or I still don't know how to use it. That's
Marcus,
Jerry Jones.
Go ahead, Marcus. That's
Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the old dad. You gave him the iPhone.
Yep.
It's right there. It's simple to use. All you gotta do is press a button.
Push a button. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He still want to text and call because that's what he knows, and that's what gets the job done for him.
Right.
So I know we want to see him do better. I agree with everything you said, but Jerry Jones is still gonna keep texting when we trying to do FaceTime.
Yeah.
Dang. Hey, man. Hey, Marcus, that was cold blooded, man. I saw where you was going with that, though. I understand, because that's what's keeping us from taking that next step forward of having the ability to have money to move around when you need to go get a guy late in the season, just get an acquisition right before the trade deadline, boom, to take you to the next step. So, you squandered opportunities by not updating, certain things you need to do to have a winning franchise.
They're going to flip phone like DJ Dog said.
Yeah. You still with the bumblebee or whatever. You still flipping the phone. You doing, you hitting one to get the C 3 times. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's been really bothering me. And me and Brandon went back and forth about this early into the offseason, saying, hey, when are we gonna? These are the guys. This is what's going to tell me I've had a great offseason, and we've had a really, really good offseason. But this puts the icing on the cake, man.
Yeah.
By going ahead and getting out here and signing these guys, and not so much wanting to be in the top of the rotation of the headlines, because we're gonna be in top of the rotation of the news cycle no matter what. They still talking about Randy Dakota Prescott. What's his legacy, man? The dude coming off injury. You ain't talking about what JJ McCarthy's legacy gonna be. He coming off injury. You ain't talking about all these other guys. You still talking about this guy, about what he's gonna do. Go ahead and sign these people, get it out, and so we can go forward into the training camp the right way.
And I always say this about the Cowboys, and we can move on.
Yeah,
I don't hate the strategy because for the most part it's effective, but they're B+ moves. It's good enough to get you a winning record. It's good enough to get you in the playoffs. But once you run up against those A's and those A+, you're not going to meet the grade.
Gotcha.
Now, I feel like the George Pickens signing was an A move, A+ move. But like you said, you got to get him signed because that's a year 2 move because you just got a new coach.
Right.
It's only so far you can go with a new coach. Next year is the year you really want to go for it.
Gotcha.
So you make that an A+ move, you get him signed.
Yep.
We just got to see. We just got to see a little bit more. You don't have to make 1,000 great moves. All you need is 1 or 2. The Eagles proved it last year.
Yes.
Yep. I feel like I wish that the Cowboys were more consistent with what they believe. Their ideology.
Oh no, they're consistent what they believe.
Wait.
Okay,
let me land. So the Cowboys want to be a draft and develop team, but when they draft those guys and they develop them, they don't tend to pay them as quickly as you think that a team would do with their homegrown talent. Now, if they chose to be consistent in their ideology all the way around and only focus on the internal without really trying to bring too much outside talent, like they've been consistent in doing that would be cool. I could understand why they would be the type of team that they are because they want to focus on their internal talent. But we always encounter this problem with the Cowboys where they have their homegrown talent. Those are the guys who have to get paid. Dak Prescott, homegrown talent. He became a much better passer during his time with the Cowboys. Tyler Smith, excellent prospect, but that man became an all-world guard after being put outside in his first year. Micah Parsons, we know who he is. Trevon Diggs, we know who he is. CeeDee Lamb, we know who he is. Every single one of these guys. Also, Odigizua also was really kind of like I don't want to use the term average, but he also was not the guy who he is today when he was first drafted in 2021. All of these guys, well, except Osa, had to go through like a tumultuous offseason when it was time for them to get that check. And I just wish that the Cowboys would consistently pay the guys that they draft, that they develop. But we never really see that.
Yep.
I mean they don't. But they don't pay. I mean, the only guy that I can remember them paying early, right? There's only
Trevon
two guys
Diggs
I
and
can
Osa.
remember them paying.
Trevon Diggs and Osa.
Nah.
Jalen.
They paid.
Oh,
Jalen,
you're talking about
Jalen.
early. Well, excuse
No, I'm
me.
talking about early. Right? They paid him early. They paid Jalen Smith early.
Yep.
And they played Trayvon. They played Trayvon early. But what I'm saying, what they do is when they want to vilify a guy, they get it when it's behind the money. And my thing is, I love what Micah did this year by turning around and flipping it on them, saying, "Listen, I'm here. I want to play. I want them to go ahead and do it. When they're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it." I think that was ingenious by his team to say, "We're not going to get to this point of just being a fight about money." Because I mean, the fan base has turned on everyone when they've done that. Every last one, from Rain, man, from Emmett to Rain to everybody that has ever done it, they've always vilified the player, talking about they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that, when it's always been on the Joneses. But like the lunatic said, you have a whole lot less pressure on you when there's no chance of you getting fired by your actions. When a man said, "I went and bought an occupation so I could have to do what I wanted to do," that's when you knew he's. Hey man, I'm just gonna give it. I'm gonna put a jitterbug on every time I see Jerry do something I don't like. I'm just gonna put a jitterbug phone on there, and I'm gonna say thanks, Marcus, because that's where we at. Because you gotta go ahead, you gotta update it, because you got to get ahead of it. Because these teams are starting to understand. Let me get this money out the way, because the salary cap ain't gonna do nothing but go it up. Let's go ahead and get this money spread out. I can move different ways, because the salary cap is there, but it ain't real, and you can do certain things around it so you can win, and that's what they got to start doing.
Before we move forward, Brandon, I'm sorry, Chris. You brought up your big three that need to get paid. What are your thoughts on Deron Bland?
I don't think this is my feeling.
Okay,
because of what we said earlier, there is a market for that third corner. There is an absolute market, but there's also a cap for that third corner, right? So this, and I've been a huge proponent of I'm not out on Diggs, okay? And I think the money that you have to allocate to him, you've already paid the majority of that money up front. You can get 2 more years out of Diggs, and you can get another year, definitely after this year, and 1 more year after that. You can be able to cut him, and the cap hit won't be crazy. The Joneses don't like to pay coaches for walking away. I don't understand why the fan base is so apt to want to pay $6 million of dead money to somebody that takes away from your salary cap next year. So I'm all about him playing that thing out to 27 before you get to that $20 million hit at the end of his deal. With that being said, I think you can come and give Deron Bland a nice payday, right? A adequate payday, a 4 or 5 year payday, and you can get him to that $100 million range. And I think it'll suffice to do what you need to do, because he is now playing a premium position. We've always said the outside, but it's really the slot. You got to have a bona fide dog at the slot corner to be able to deal with these offenses. Because, dude, you're talking about dealing with a Luther Burton if he comes to play. You got to deal with, you got Jefferson. You're going to deal with Sun God, St. Brown. You're going to deal with the CDs. You're going to deal with AJ when you get in the slot. You're going to deal with all these wide receivers coming out, man, going to the slot, and I need a guy who knows how to play that, navigate that, and be legit. So I think you can have $200 million corners. The way the salary cap is moving, you're going to need $200 million corners to be able to win in this league. That's just me, man.
I agree. I agree.
DaRon Bland kind of fits the mold of the guy that they would approach during this type of drought, really, really kind of early when they don't necessarily need to, and see if he would accept the payday. DaRon Bland, he's like in that mold of guys. Trevon Diggs, I didn't think that he was going to be that guy because they paid him right after that explosive season, if I recall.
They did. Yeah, they got him paid. Yep, they got him paid.
DaRon Bland being your second corner, being a lower round draft pick, may need a little bit of scratch.
Yep.
He is like that stereotypical guy that Jerry Jones will catch right before he goes into the airport for his vacation. Say, Daryl, DaRon.
Just butcher that baby name.
Yeah. There we go. Because Jerry old, Jerry old. So Daryl, DaRon. Before you go, I thought that it would be remiss of me to not see what we can do to make you a Cowboy for life, son. And just he wouldn't be able to pull him into his office, but he would pull him into his limo. Try to get that contract signed right there without his agent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's. But see, I think what ends up happening, I think he wants to be so big and part of the news cycle that a lot of these deals are already done. He's already got the money laid out.
You giving him a lot of credit. Give him a whole lot of credit there, Chris.
No, I think he. Okay, so I'll be real brief with you. So,
all right.
You can see from the posters in the back, there's a lot of college posters in the back. My son's a Division I athlete, and
what school?
Oh, he's a Virginia Tech Hokie. He's a Virginia Tech Hokie. Yeah, he's wide receiver Virginia Tech. But long story short, you turn around when those kids are doing recruiting. A lot of people that watch recruiting, they get down on their school if they not recruiting kids in May and June. Why we ain't got so many people? And I tell people all the time, these kids are starved for attention. If they commit early, these schools ask them and push them to cut off all visits. If I could get 4 to 5 paid vacations for my family, right, where they're gonna come get you, wine you, dine you, treat you like you're the greatest thing on the planet. You get to take pictures, they get all the hoopla. You turn around, you get starved for attention. I think Jerry is always wanting to make sure that we're top of the news cycle. He is starved. If he turn on it, it's the NBA Finals, but he wants you to talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
It can be the heat of the World Series. He wants you talking about the Dallas Cowboys. He wants to dominate the news cycle. That Joker waited to the first game of the season, right before the first game of the season, so he could dominate the news cycle to sign a guy he knew he was going to give $60 million to.
And gave him every dollar that he asked for.
Yep. Every dollar he asked. So I'm saying, I think a lot of times this stuff is already laid out. Micah really did what no one else has done for the Cowboys in a long time.
He got ahead of it.
I'm going to show up.
Ahead of it.
Way ahead of it. I want to be here. This is where I want to play at. I want to do all this. I'm waiting on them. I'm waiting for them to call me because I'm ready to sign. And so I just think that's the case, man. I just think that's the case, bro. All this stuff is already laid out. So I think he got a number for DaRon Bland. And it's a competitive number. And it's a number where he can stay and feel comfortable. And then he already knows he's wanted and loved in Dallas. Listen, J. Lou didn't want to leave. They just told J. Lou to leave. They weren't going to give him money.
I got this theory. Chris and Marcus.
All right.
I think that the Cowboys have a self-imposed budget of how much they want to spend on football each year.
the infamous pie.
Pie.
Yeah. And so when they say the pie, they don't mean the salary cap. They mean that budget. Let's say that budget each year, each fiscal year, it's like a nice round $100 million. That's a round number. Fill it with X dollar amount here for this example. So if they go out and they sign their edge rusher, their Micah Parsons, their defensive weapon, And even though against the salary cap, his cap number may go down by $15 million approximately. That's what it'll do. Mm-hmm. But they have to cut a check for, let's just say $45 million. The number could be different.
Yeah.
Humor me. They've just spent almost half of their self-imposed budget. I feel like the Cowboys work the team, the Cowboys front office, the Jones family, and Will McClay work the football team like a business, which prevents them from stepping too far out, too close to the ledge in any particular year. What do y'all think about that theory?
What you think, Marcus?
Yeah, to add on to your point, I don't know if most fans know this, but like you said, Chris, earlier, the salary cap is a myth. You can manipulate that thing however you want to. But what was not a myth is whenever a player has a guaranteed amount in their contract, the owner has to take that money dollar for dollar and put it into an escrow account that he cannot touch until they fulfill that time period. So, like Brandon just said, if Michael signs a contract that says he's getting $90 million fully guaranteed, Jerry Jones got to write a check for $90 million and put it into an account. And he has to get his money back when they get their salary cap, they get their check at the end of every year. So I could definitely see that whole thing you said about an allocation, because Jerry may say, I'm only coming out of my pocket for $100 million, even though I'm a billionaire. So if you want to get 25, because he's said this before, like, it's a pecking order. If he gets this, it's less of the power for you on the back end. So you better try to sign it now. And I think that's kind of what he alludes to. So I'm right there with you, Brandon.
What really kind of, outside of all of the statements about the pie, they talked about putting things on a credit card for a certain amount of years. And I was like, well, figuratively and literally, you didn't really have to do that because you were well below the cap dollars for that particular year. So you didn't really put it on a credit card. A team that chooses to, I'll use the Eagles as an example. That's a team that you could say are figuratively putting it on a credit card, because in 2029, it gets ugly. It's a sticky situation when 2029 hits for the Eagles because of how they structured all of their cap dollars. Yeah. That's a team that put their future on the credit card for today. I don't really see Jerry Jones doing that. But when I just think a little deeper and how I came about to that conclusion, that to create this theory, it could be that to place money in that escrow account, they had to really leverage, whether it was some of their other business ventures, and things like that, to create some liquidity. So they could very well be telling people literally how they're operating and how they don't want to spend so many dollars. Yeah, Chris, you look like you got some on your nine. What's happening?
Listen, man, I'm sick and tired of hearing about this daggone pie. You done got 30 years of interest on my behind. Yeah. Listen, man, there was no gray hair in my beard when we was out here whooping ass. Okay. I was young, virile. I was at 5% body fat. I ain't had no babies. I ain't care about none of that. Okay. Now I've got 30 years of you stacking cheese, stacking down. That joker got a yacht. That joker got a hellfire yacht. He got the bread to do it. It's the want to. And so my thing is, if you turn around and listen, Marcus, me and Brandon have already said if we ever go and win the Super Bowl, his wife got my wife number to go get the bail money for me and him. I'm getting rested.
Y'all crashing out, huh?
I'm streaking. I'm running.
If they don't catch me, I'm one of the 3 states.
Naked. I am acting out. So the amount of money, the back half of the money that you'd end up making or having to put away, you build more cachet for that next 15, 20, 30 years of Cowboys fans. Yeah. Jerry got a whole Netflix. Brandon got mad the other day. I don't want to hear about the 90 Cowboys no more.
I ain't watching it. I'm tired
He
of it.
don't
I done
want to
seen that
watch
movie.
it. But I done seen them. I don't want to hear about the gambler. I don't want to hear about what was leaking money. We done heard all them stories.
Yeah.
I need something up to date and new. What we did here. So go ahead and put the money in there. You're gonna get it back. Those guys understand the benefits of winning here. It is what it is. You got a guy who built the stadium that they play in now with a bad back that's on CBS broadcasting games.
Yep.
He built that joker on his bad back, and he's still legendary. You ain't gonna tell me they don't win they get to the Super Bowl and win it. That all them guys won't be legendary. I'm sorry, man. So I'm not giving the Joneses any kind of I'm as much hopium as I love to have. I don't give them no hopium when it comes to go ahead and write the check because you already got that money. That money got gray hair on it.
That old money for real. It's old money for real.
It's old money. They got that money got gray hair on it. Go and write the check. You can't sit up and tell me you don't know what the check would be I would buy to win a Super Bowl and don't go and pay people early and get it out the way.
That's true.
Exactly.
Follow me? You can't keep saying that. You talking out of both sides of your neck. You know? That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to discuss before we close out today?
Yo, man, an hour and 50 minutes, man. Great discussion. Man, Marcus, man, thank you for coming and kicking it, man. God,
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, man, definitely love it, man. Definitely love it, bro. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely got to have you guys on the show once we get close to training camp or during training camp.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, look, bro, we're going to be out, like I said, we're going to be out here starving. Well, see, when you get training camp, it's going to be, hey, how fast you can get it out. But we definitely love to come and kick it with you, man.
Absolutely. So Marcus, one last time, man, tell the people, who you are, what you do, where to find you.
All right. First of all, shouts out. I got a couple of my viewers joining us. Mendoza, the Lunatic, DJ Dog. Thank you guys for hopping over, checking out these guys. And I hope you guys come back and check them out as well in the future. But if you guys want to find me, I'm the host of the Fifth Quarter Podcast powered by DC4L Network. We air every Wednesday night, 8:30 Central Standard Time.
No doubt.
If you guys enjoy what you saw tonight, it's pretty much a lot more of this great dialogue. I'm going to give you guys a lot of facts. Everything is going to be as neutral as possible. I don't do a lot of hot takes. I don't do a lot of I'll take this side because the Twitter sphere is going off, and then the next week I'm taking the opposite side.
Flip it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't go the opposite of the pendulum.
Right.
I just go with what I see and what I feel and what history has shown me. So if you want to get some just great dialogue about football focused on the Cowboys, come check me out, Fifth Quarter Podcast.
No doubt.
Excellent.
Definitely.
So we done been here for an hour, 52 minutes so far.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, I need you to do 4 things for me. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All of them are free. All of them take just a little bit of time, but it's that valuable digital currency that help us thrive in these YouTube and these content creator streets. Let's see. Let's make this one easy. In your comment, I want you to tell me your favorite Cowboys free agent that we have signed. That one should be easy for everybody. That one should be. That
may be unanimous.
Yeah.
That one should be unanimous.
Everybody. Chris always does this thing. He says he's the Robin to this, but I disagree. I feel like Chris is kind of like Green Lantern or Batman and things like that. If I'm Superman, Chris gonna be Green Lantern or Batman or one of the other dope Justice League members. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
If I'm Iron Man, Chris is Captain America.
Oh, man, that's dope.
So as always, we gonna come together and we gonna make dope content like this happening. So until next time. This is Frankly Football. Peace.